All right, we're live. Tech Talk Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. Sorry we missed you last week.
We're back.
I was out of town, and Mike didn't want to do it by himself. I don't know why.
Nope.
I did it without you the week before, so it's only fair that you did it without me.
Well, if it was just me here, it would be I wouldn't be able to answer any questions
I don't
because
know
everyone
about
seems
that.
to ask about old fart machines.
So this is a chance that we take, or it's an opportunity that we like to take a few minutes out of our personal time. As you can see, we're eating dinner just before we go back to work, to join you guys live and answer some questions whenever, or try to answer some questions the best we can. We try to diagnose based off of a couple sentences, but we do the best we can. We appreciate everybody joining us. What is new this week? We've been working on, the whole purpose of this channel and the live events is we want to help you, the Bobcat owners, have more confidence in your machines and the ability to diagnose and repair your machines. So some of the things that we've been working on that I'm pretty excited about is diagnostic tools for the Doosan engines. We just got done with our R&D of doing we can now TM a gauge, a digital pressure gauge,
Pressure
to monitor rail pressure
on the Doosan.
On the Doosan engines, the common rail engines, because if you don't know what your rail pressure is and you have a no start condition, it's hard to diagnose. All we can do is guess if you don't have the software. So I built a gauge and a harness that we can now TM. Pretty excited about it. We're going to do a video on it probably here in the next day or so, because we've got one of these machines back here. There's a real life situation. Oh, it's over Mike's head over here. Right, that one, the S530, that has fuel issues. And this is a perfect opportunity to show off that tool. So hopefully we're going to have that. We got a few other specialty tools going up on our website, so we're pretty excited about all that. We believe that you have the right to diagnose and the right to repair your own machines. Dealers will not give you this, this diagnostic equipment, and I am working very hard to bring that diagnostic equipment to you. And hopefully in the future, very soon, we will have all that up and ready to go. So with that being said, let's get started. Mike, I'm going to eat some fries while you tell me what's going on.
Oh, well, first I'll start off with what I learned this week, today, a couple hours ago. I got on this machine back here, that one. The had codes for the IMV overcurrent on the drive. It was an engine code, so the check engine light was flashing, and it was making a really loud brrr when I would test it in the software. And he showed me that the plugs don't plug in all the way sometimes, and I noticed it was kind of loose, but I felt like I thought I clicked it in, but he pulled it back out. It didn't click in, so the loose connection was causing an IMV code because it was jumping in and out, and so it wasn't working right. So the inlet metering valve on the fuel pump. So he just took this little pocket screwdriver and put it in there and fixed the clip. So it's supposed to push on and clip on, and that fixed it. No more codes, and it doesn't act weird anymore. So I didn't know that was a thing. I've never seen it before.
I've seen that a lot. It's the pigtail and the IMV that they don't click in all the way. But what's weird is an overcurrent code, and sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't. It was intermittent. So yeah, it just turned out to be a bad connection on that. That may have been the whole reason the machine went to auction, because that was an auction purchase. God, it's hard to do it in the back of the camera. That was an auction purchase. We're doing a bunch of work to it, and that was just a small engine issue. But
all right,
let's get started.
S300 keypad, deluxe start panel, right-hand side digital. The right-hand side digital has good temp. Left-hand needle not working. Does this prove that the left-hand gauge is bad? Electric shows
control TX and RX is your communication that you got on the S300 before we went to CAN communication, but electric shows.
So he's saying that his right-hand gauge shows temperature good. The needle on the left gauge is not good.
And I think I'd have to go back and look, but don't we have two temperature sensors, one for the gauge and one that goes to the controller? Like one's a single wire, one's a two wire. It depends on the serial number. If that's
is one for hydraulic temperature and one for coolant, or is there two separate coolant temperature sensors?
I think there's 2 separate coolant temperature sensors on that. So that doesn't necessarily prove that, it's proved that the gauge is bad. I would still do a little more troubleshooting on that. And I'd have to look at the serial. If I had the serial number, I could go in and see if you do actually have 2 temperature sensors. Usually that's the case. We have one for the gauge and one for the controller. One for the, so it's an analog and a digital gauge, essentially. So I would not condemn the panel just yet.
Hello, I have a T590 2015 with glow plug signal fault code. It keeps blowing the 50 amp fuse. See you later. If I have a bad glow plug, what's the best way to check which one is bad? So I have a trick I saw on TikTok.
Oh, go ahead.
I saw on TikTok. One way you can check, and this is just one way to check glow plugs. I don't know if it's going to fix the problem, but I seen what you can do is you can hook up your test light to the positive of the battery, and you take it and you put it on the tip of the glow plug, and if it lights up, then you have a good connection to ground. That means your glow plug at least isn't open. That's what's a quick way to check to see if it's open, at least in between the it's which means it has a good path to ground. But the other way you could check is to pull it out and hook it up to a battery, just to, I don't know, positive on the top and negative in the middle, and see if it heats up.
So you're looking at direct. So you're saying if you check continuity from the pin to the engine block, if you have continuity,
you're checking from the pin to the engine block.
Yeah, basically, from the pin, the threaded part to ground. If you have continuity, that could be what's blowing.
If your test light lights up,
what's blowing that? But
well, I was saying that's
up the test light. Okay,
you're supposed to have.
Through the pin, you're not supposed to have continuity to ground. But maybe we're talking about 2 different things. What I want to hit on the T59 on the 2015 glow plug signal fault keeps blowing 50 amp fuse. Any ideas of a bad glow plug? What's the best way to check which one is bad? I don't know that it's a bad glow plug because it's kind of rare that I see a glow plug short to ground in those. I guess it doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but I've never seen it myself on these machines. I mean, I've seen it in the past. Usually when we're blowing that 50 amp fuse, we've got a short to ground. So on the older ones, what happened is that glow plug wire would come down. It's a brown wire, and when the harness would come down, and it would actually rub on the bottom of the door. So you have to follow that down where it's close to the bottom of the door, and it was always rubbed through right down there, and that was on the earlier T590s. So harness rubs on the rear door, the orange door, and that would short it out, and that would be kind of an intermittent, so it might work a little bit, and then it might not as it bounces around, or it might blow the fuse again. Or if you keep following your harness up above your battery and where it goes all the way to the front of the machine, they like to wire tie that harness to these clips along the frame, and it would rub through where they wire tied it to those clips too. So that's more what I would be looking for if the glow plug does not have a direct path to ground, continuity to ground. So if you check the actual pin, the threaded part, well, if you've already got your rail on there, you could check any one of them. If any one of them have continuity to ground, then yeah, we probably got a bad glow plug. So that's 2 different options for you. Hopefully that helps.
Okay. I saw this one, right? T650 4007 code. It's a D4007.
Delta 4007 joystick not neutral.
Yes, joystick right axis right joystick Y axis not neutral.
So on the, you want this one or
right axis joystick not neutral?
Okay. So what happens is
you're pulling up on the joystick.
Well, what happens is on those older ones, well, any of the machines, what happens is the joystick has springs in there, and the springs bring it back to center. So what happens is you get dirt, or the spring gets weak, and you get dirt in there. That joystick is just sagging a little bit.
He said sound cut off.
Did my sound cut off? Because I'm still showing that it.
Did our sound cut off, guys?
Anybody else can hear us? Hopefully it didn't.
Let me check.
I'm still showing that everything's working.
We're fine.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Tony, it looks like it works on our side. It must be your side.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, guys. So where was I? Okay. So I think your joystick is sagging forward a little bit. See if you can pull it back just a little bit.
And then push the button.
And then push your button, see if that works. But your joystick base is just getting wore out. when it's not. It tells me the communication, all the wiring, everything's good. It's just inside the joystick base, not the joystick itself, but the actual base of it. You're not in neutral, and sometimes it's just sagging forward. If you just bring it back just a little bit and push your button, see if that allows you to operate your machine.
Nice. What hydraulic fluid temperature triggers availability of S300 2-speed operating?
That's a great question. I don't know that off the top of my head. I think it's just above freezing, if I'm not mistaken. I think above 32 or something. It's a pretty low temperature.
You should,
I wouldn't say any more than 50 degrees.
Nobody likes a saggy joystick.
Nobody likes a saggy joystick. I know, right? But yeah, you rub it just right. Next thing you can get it to stand back up.
And then push the button.
Yeah. So, BJ, I mean, that's a really good question. I just don't know off the top of my head. I don't want to sit here and say something and be wrong, but it's a fairly low temperature. It's not like over 100 degrees or anything. Hell, I don't even know that. I could be wrong. I'm gonna have to look at the schematic and see if it. I wonder if that's even in the schematic.
I don't think so.
I wonder. There might be other. Oh God! And who said nobody likes a saggy joystick? That's
Marty Wood.
Exactly who I would have expected to say that. It's like a child. But yeah, I'm gonna have to see. Maybe there's another Bobcat tech in here that might know that off the top of his head, because I know I've talked about that years before, but I've never needed that information, so I didn't retain it. But great question.
What's a good spot to get a drive motor rebuilt for an S205?
My go-to guys now is CR Components. CR Components out of Indiana. Yeah, just CR Components. Just Google them. Mike's going to go ahead and type it in here in the
chat.
In the chat, and that way, that's going to be my go-to guys now for the drive motors.
There you go. It's pinned.
Some of the major rebuilders on the motors and pumps now. Like I said, I'm not going to name any names, but it seems like people are not having good luck out of these major rebuilders. So, but yeah, the CR Components, I work with them many times, and they've always pulled through for me. I haven't had any issues. So look them up, give them a shot out of Indiana. They should take care of you.
He says to test glow plugs with a non-contact thermometer to see if they're getting hot. That's a good way too.
Yeah. I haven't tried that.
I wonder if
they're deep down in the head.
Yeah,
Welcome back, Dave. Good to see you, buddy.
Go if it heat up the head enough.
Yeah, I might try that and see if it works. For
me,
I
do it for a while.
Yeah, I usually pull them out and just positive, negative to a battery or my jump starter and just watch it glow red hot. So.
T740 issues with new drive motor from Bobcat part number 7440632, replacing OEM. My question is there a difference between the drive motors? The new one is more sluggish.
I don't know off the top of my head.
A T740 drive motor.
So most of the changes in the part numbers were just different seals and stuff like that. As far as the motor, the piston and the carrier, the cam rings, all of that stuff remained the same. There was just small, minute changes between the motor numbers. So I don't see the problem being in the drive motor. Is that a reman or a new drive motor? There's a lot that goes into that, a lot of troubleshooting and diagnostic that we could do. But one thing you can do is what we call a Cas Drain test. Mike, you want to explain the Cas Drain test?
Yes. So basically what you'll do is there's a spec. Every motor has their own specification for a Cas Drain test, but basically you're testing to see how blown out the seals are. So you're going to take a I don't know, 5-gallon bucket or whatever, something, maybe just something with lines that you can measure the amount of fluid, and you'll stick a hose off your Cas Drain port and into the container, and you're going to turn on your machine, and there's a spec for the amount of fluid over how much time, GPM. So
the easy way to do that is just compare your left and right motor Cas Drain. You know, the good motor, see how much it comes out in 1 minute. Just let it pour for 1 minute and then check it on the motor that you're having an issue with.
Maybe they're both bad.
Yeah.
You know?
If you get significantly more oil out of one motor, then that tells you there's a problem inside the motor. So but we could do pump tests. There's a lot of things that we can do to test that issue, but the Cas Drain test is kind of just an easy one that you can do real quick.
Yep. The shop manual says the charge pressure should be 380 to 480. Is 400 good enough? Yep.
Yeah, 400 is fine on charge pressure, but my question would be are you able to maintain 400 psi at idle with the machine idled all the way down?
Is it 400 at full throttle or at idle?
Yeah, it really should not fluctuate. Your charge pump should maintain enough flow to maintain pressure at any RPM. So if it's fluctuating, that tells me maybe we got a lot of a leak somewhere in the charge pressure system, or we could have a bad charge pump or something like that. But if you're able to maintain that 400, because what we got is a pressure relief valve in the hydrostatic pump. So once that valve opens, and it just kind of fluctuates, but it should just maintain that 400 psi. It opens, cracks just enough to let all the excess flow go out and just maintain a good 400 psi. So if you're maintaining 400, you're fine. No, you're all right. Come on, bro. No, he's going to.
This is Hardy-L. Hardy-L saw from before. Remember him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. How to adjust the throttle on a D24? The engine idles high. He has access to the software. I didn't know if you could change the idle.
No, you can't.
What's the idle? What RPMs are you idling at? Should be 1060 at low idle. 1060.
So how to adjust the throttle on a D24? It's electronically controlled. The controller, the ECU takes the information from the foot pedal and the hand throttle, and that's what does it. Are you sure the foot pedal's not sticking? Does it have a foot throttle? Because sometimes those
is it a
stick
skid
down.
steer or is it a Mini X?
Oh, that's true too. I'm just assuming it's a skid steer. Yeah. So do you have a hand and a foot throttle, and just make sure that your throttles are coming back to the neutral position? I think 99.9% of the times I don't have one that won't idle down. It's because of the foot pedal.
It's because the foot pedal is stuck a little bit.
There's just dirt and mud, and and on those it actually goes through a bushing behind that plastic cover on the M series, and that bushing gets real rusted up or just corroded up, and I have to pull them apart and sand them out and fix them and anti-seize and stuff like that. But that's what I would check.
Tony is asking if there's a calibration for the joysticks.
Not on the joystick itself, no. No, there's nothing to calibrate on the joystick.
You'll just have to get a new base.
Yeah, unfortunately, you'll have to get a new base, like Mike said, or you can check out with ISOSCELL, ISOSCELL. Michael typed that in. They're out of just south of Chicago, Illinois, and they rebuild those joysticks. But really, Tony, I guess to go a little deeper into that, being out of neutral code, we would put that on our laptop, and we can actually see that XY axis and see which direction it is, and we can move it around and see if we can kind of center it up by hand. But a lot of times when those get weak, I've seen people, they'll pull it back and just release the hydraulics. Once you release the hydraulics, then you're good to go for a while, unless it's severely out of neutral. But
you should just
nothing to calibrate. It'll have to be rebuilt.
I have a 2002 873 G series. Start using a breaker attachment at first when disconnecting. Pressing the auxiliary release button would release pressure. Now it won't.
I don't know why it won't. On the G series, if you press and hold that button with the engine running, is that how you do it? And it should shut the engine down immediately. Does it shut the engine down if you press that auxiliary release button? So that's one way I check them, is just leave the machine running, but don't be running the hammer. Just press and hold the button, and it should shut your engine off and release the pressure. So
I didn't even know that was a thing. See?
Yeah. So check that, see if it shuts the engine down.
Missed y'all last week. Got a 650 frame cracks. Ooh. Have you thought about manufacturing those plates and selling? Almost lost 3 rollers completely.
I thought about it. Bobcat sells them, but I have not made them myself, because there's a couple different style what we're talking about is the track frame, and there's a couple different style track frames, and you got the 500 series, 600 series, and you got the 700-800 series, and there's different plates for all of them. So that's why I haven't thought about manufacturing the plates, because there is a lot of different styles. Sometimes when I buy the plates from Bobcat, I even have to make my own anyways, because the crack goes further up in the frame, or I've got multiple cracks going in different directions, and Bobcat doesn't make them. Really, Bobcat made those plates what we call a mouse hole plate, for when that hole that goes through the idler, your bolt goes through the idler, it would kind of waller out that hole and damage the hole for the idler. So that's kind of what Bobcat's plates are for. But usually mine are like yours. It either breaks out that whole section, or it gets cracks and all through the frame. So I just make the plates on a case-by-case basis in that situation.
Depending on the severity.
Yep, exactly.
Selling a Bobcat 15C auger with 16-inch bit in great condition, with and Grouser 12 16.5s over tire steel tracks. You're selling an auger and steel tracks. What price ranges are reasonable?
I mean, reasonable. I guess it really all depends on condition. You know, what's the condition of that 15C? What's the condition of the bit? But those augers, you can't get a decent auger for less than $2,000. So that's kind of a fair price in my position. And yeah, on the steel tracks, again, it all depends on condition. It's really kind of in that $2,000 range if they're in really good condition. If they're really worn, your grouser, your actual tread plates are real thin due to wear, they're not worth a whole lot at that point. So stuff like that's worth as much as someone's willing to pay. But if they're in good shape, you're looking at about $2,000 each, and you could probably get more if they're in excellent shape.
Thanks for all the great information, guys. When is that remote oil filter going to be available? Will it work with the T66? Yes, it will.
Absolutely. You want to take this one, Mike?
Yes, I can take this one. It's going to be ready when the guy who makes them makes them.
So I'm waiting on Permacool, man. I don't know, like that head. I want to stick with I could easily build that kit and we could use a different filter, but the head that I want to use with that, what is that, an inch? I think it's a 1-inch 12 filter adapter is what our Bobcat filter, because I want to stay with the Bobcat oil filter. Yeah, I could put a cat oil filter on it, and I could order those heads all day long. So really what I'm waiting on is the manufacturer of the filter head itself. And I don't know why. I got a couple of them, and then they canceled my last order and just said that they just don't have them and they don't have any availability right now. So I had a case of them coming. So I can't answer that question, man. Maybe I'll get back on that and get back with them, see if I can resource it.
Maybe if somebody really wants it, you could just do cat filters.
Yeah, so I wanted to pre-order one and they didn't care what filter was on it, then that would be their, I guess their choice. But in that case, yeah, we could, well, kind of, because I got to have the head and the filter head adapter that screws onto that. So I still need that 12 mil, that 1x12.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I guess
filter,
you need the thing to plug it off. So
yeah, so it's a manufacturing issue, man. I guess I jumped the gun on that when I posted it. So hopefully, hopefully we'll get back on that. We'll get some answers. Maybe we'll find another source for that, those components. So yeah, hopefully soon. Thanks for asking. I really appreciate that, man. I'm glad that, because we did get a lot of feedback on that.
He says, "What's up with the engine crate in the back?" We're taking that one and we're putting the
your head's right in the way. Yeah,
we're taking this one and we're going to throw the engine in that excavator back there. It's toast.
Yep, the excavator had the mass.
You had
mass airflow, right?
The mass airflow sensor gasket. Dust was sucking dirt in through it, so it's past the air filter. So all the dust was getting into the engine, and it had really low compression on one of the cylinders. So we had compression issues. We had injector issues. We got a bad turbo. Yeah. So the engine was just completely dusted. If it were my machine, we would probably try to rebuild that. But when we're doing it for customers, you get a new turbo and injectors with the new engine anyway. So it's
a new engine comes with that. That's got a new ECU in it, all new fuel system, all new turbo. So everything. like I said, the whole wiring harness, ECU, and everything is just a complete drop in. We just got to swap over some components and put it in. So they're expensive, but it's really the best option for a customer's machine when we're doing it. Well, number one is time. When we rebuild something, it takes a lot of time because people keep asking me about the Kubota engine too. I
Oh, I saw. Yeah, I saw.
don't know when you're going to get back on that, but it's still in the same spot it was. So, yeah, that's what that is. What is that? Almost $14,000 was our cost on that engine. So they're not cheap. They're not cheap. But
Yeah, they need to give us better discounts if you're watching.
Yeah, Bobcat don't give us any damn discount.
Well, they better. We're their best customers. So. We're their second best customer behind Sunbelt. So, how do you go about replacing 2-speed solenoid in Bobcat 331?
So the
Unscrew it.
well, yeah, no. But I guess the first thing you got to do is locate it. The 2-speed solenoid is in the
Pilot.
Yep, pilot manifold block, the pressure reducing block.
So it's like a big aluminum square rectangle.
It should have an accumulator on it. Looks like a black balloon on the back of it.
A big black balloon.
And on the bottom of that is where, or it could be on the top on those 330. I guess it depends on the serial number. There was a bunch of 331s, but some of them went from the top, but some of them go from the bottom. But you kind of need a schematic. Excuse me, that was terrible. Rude. How rude. That's what happens when you eat right before them. So the first thing you gotta do is just locate it, and then if it's just electric solenoid, it slides off the stem. But you might have a stem issue.
Yeah, you unplug the solenoid. There's a little nut on the top. Then that'll replace the solenoid. Then if the metal piece sticking out, the little metal rod sticking out is bad, you just get a wrench and unscrew that one, screw the new one in, pop another solenoid on there. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's easy. The hardest part is just locating which one's which because you're going to have a lot of electric solenoids in there. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yep. Can my drive motor work without the blue seal at the drive shaft? What is the function of the seal? Effects of that seal missing?
I have no idea which one you're talking about. Drive motor without the blue seal at the drive shaft.
The shaft seal. So it's going to leak.
Oh, is that on the older? So you're talking about, so you've got a wheeled machine. No, you got to have that. That's the seal between, if that's the seal that I'm thinking about, it looks like a concave donut. I think that goes between your carrier and the drive motor. So you got to have that seal. If that's a wheeled machine. So yeah, no, you got to have that. What'll happen if you don't have that seal is you're going to fill your chain case with oil.
Yep. And then you get to suck it all out.
Yep.
Let's see. Yes, it shuts down, but my attachments. So it shuts down when he pushes the button, but the attachments stay charged. Up, down is hesitating now as well. Maybe actuator?
Actuator has nothing to do with the pressure release.
Yes, let's
auxiliaries.
look at the auxiliary question first. So it shuts off the engine, but it does not release the pressure. Maybe the spool or whatever that's supposed to release the pressure isn't moving. Is it a solenoid?
So, you should also, before you disconnect the lines, you should be able to push in on your couplers, and that also releases the pressure on them as well.
On an 863?
If it's a G series, you should have the block. So I'm not sure why it's not releasing the pressure. If it's shutting the engine down, that means the controller's is getting the signal. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing, and all it does is it moves the auxiliary coil. It just lets what little charge pressure is left in the system move the coil over and let that bleed back to tank. So I'm not sure why it's not working. And didn't he say he's running a hammer?
Mm-hmm.
Hammers are so hard on those hydraulic systems. We probably got a spool sticking or something like that on the auxiliaries. There's so many things that can happen when you run a hammer. It's hard to say. It tears stuff up. So when we're thinking about normally how something's supposed to work, we got to say, okay, well, if it's not working, what could have happened? And when you're running a hammer, anything could happen. It's really hard on those. So I can't, sorry, I don't have a good answer for that.
Okay. And just up, down is hesitating. I don't think that would be an actuator. If your up and down is hesitating.
Yeah, I mean, what type of hesitation are we talking about? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it just slow to operate in both directions? I mean,
is
I
it a
guess.
linkage issue? You know?
Well, if it's got actuators, do we in
Does
fact
it have?
do,
Is it SJC?
do we in fact have actuators? Yeah, ACS or SJC would both have actuators. There's a lot of questions that we would have to get into on that. I can't really answer that very well based off the information I have, unfortunately.
Does all drive controller come programmed? Do all drive controllers come programmed? How to program a 773 drive controller?
No, controllers do not come programmed. A 773 is not going to have a separate drive controller on a 773. Have you ever seen an SJC 773?
It's a new one.
That's a new one for me. I mean, a drive controller would only be on an SJC machine. I've never seen a 7.
It would just be.
But he is in a different country, so maybe they have different machines out there. But no, if you in fact have a 773 with a separate drive controller, which even a 773, even if it was SJC, it's not going to have a separate drive controller. You'd have to get a whole main controller. No, I don't. Something's not adding up on that one. Maybe we got the wrong model machine. I'm not sure.
But you just use the Bobcat software to program it.
Yeah, I think he has all. I know he has the
Yeah.
engine software. So
You just hook it up to the computer when you plug in this controller and you type in the hours. And
yeah, and based off options. So
options.
They all have to be programmed.
So make sure you give yourself all the options.
Yeah, they come blank from the factory. So
can Bobcat attachment buckets fork work with other brands since they totaled my 770? I'm still looking for another one. It's 870 or Cat or Takeuchi.
Yeah, since
Takeuchi.
Bobcat used to have a patent on that attach, and that patent ran out, and everybody kind of went to that same attach plate. So
I did not know that.
Yeah, so that was Bobcat's design, and now everybody's got it. So to this day, I can't think of a skid steer that does not have the exact same dimensions.
Yeah.
So pretty much all attachments work on all machines.
So just make sure you get a Bobcat though.
Yep, and that's, like I said, that was, I want to say the 90s, because some of the earlier 90s 743s had this different attach on them, but it was somewhere in there the patent run out, and now everybody uses the same attach. So hopefully that answers your question.
Marta Agard says hi.
Hi, Marta.
Hi, honey.
Did you say honey? Hey, babe.
This is Ben Bull. I went to class with him.
Oh, did you?
Yep. He's the second best in the class. He was the second best in the class.
Right behind you?
Right behind me. He says, would you hire another tech for the summer?
I don't know. It sounds like Mike is vouching for you. Why haven't I heard your name before?
I've talked about him before.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, he went with me to Skills.
I thought you were talking about all them other guys that we keep hiring from the school. You've never once mentioned his name. How dare you? Come by and see us, man. I'd love to meet you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Stop by.
We are busy. We do need another good tech. For sure. Yeah, stop by and talk to us, man.
Look up South Valley Equipment, southvalleyequipment.com.
South Valley Equipment. You type that in.
That's where you can find our address.
Equipment.com. Mike says he's looking at 8770 T870. I'd imagine T870.
That's a beast.
That's a big machine.
A monster. Liked your video yesterday. Interested in the rear stabilizer on the machine. Oh, that was on that.
Yeah.
770. What was it?
That was an 870.
That was an 870. He had the rear stabs, didn't he? How was that installed and plumbed into the electric and hydraulic system?
That is a kit. Bobcat makes a rear auxiliary kit, and we can even turn that on in your controller with engine or with machine software. We'd have to go in and turn that option on. But you're going to have the plugs and everything in the system to plug that in. So it's just a kit that Bobcat sells. So that's how we'd have to go about that.
Yep, and they just come with instructions that I've never installed one of those kits. So, but it comes with instructions on how to install it. And so,
yep. Hey, okay, we're right in the middle, so
Flip flopped in there. You're backwards.
All right.
So
Well,
if I flip the birdie with my left finger, it'll look.
no,
Whoa.
hang on. I gotta get this guy out of here. Just kidding. I know. Here, I'll finish up with him. I'll let you take over.
I thought you were playing.
I sit in the captain's chair now. All right, let's see if I can even do this. I know he answers all the questions. You should have seen his face. He went totally red. T770, why does my Bobcat hydraulic cylinder go open when working the cylinder go open? I've seen that a bunch. The Bobcat cylinder when working the bucket back and forth. Does it open all the way? Or is that just when you have nothing on it? I've seen that before, but I've always wondered why that happens. It will. It'll open the, like your attachment will fall off. I'd have to look at the schematic. I bet Brady will know. Just have to wait for him to come back. He's probably done this a billion times. Wow. You guys did a great video on SCR system. When would your software for engine analyzer finish? When would your software for engine finish? What do you mean? Like, does it expire or? I don't think it expires. And do we have any to replace service analyzer? I don't know what you're trying to say. I'm sorry. I'm gonna wait for Brady. He's got the answers. I have a T76. The rear camera works a quarter of the time. You could check the. I wonder what you think I'm going to say. Because usually when the camera doesn't work, there's a harness on the T76. The harness will come down and it'll rub through on the door, and that'll turn off the camera. And then he'll just have to reprogram it, or they just come back on like by themselves.
Oh, did you take over the captain's chair?
I did.
All right. Sorry about that.
But that's what, in my experience, that's what happens. It just rubs through the harness for the camera, and second best tech, I know. He's questioning me. I can't answer any of these questions.
Which one?
Any of them? This one right here. I've seen that one before, but I don't know why it happens. So he says
I'm wondering if you got your plumbing wrong on that. These are designed to keep positive pressure in the closed position. So there is flow always going to the closed position. So I'm wondering if somehow you got your lines backward or someone plumbed it backwards.
Was your kit installed after the factory?
Yeah, or someone replaced the hoses and they just got them mixed up or something. That's a possibility, because as you're operating the machine, there's always supposed to be positive flow. It's a safety thing to keep the handles in the down position. So hopefully that makes sense.
I had no idea.
Well, now you know.
I told him I've seen that before, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Hardy, I didn't understand this question.
Let's see, you guys did a great video on the SCR system. That's one I just posted yesterday that we did a little bit while back. When would your software for engine finish? Also, and do you have to replace any? Do you have any to replace service analyzer? I kind of have to be careful with these questions. What we got to do is we've got what am I looking for? It's basically it's a device we use to talk to the engine. Okay.
Yes.
Bobcat sells it, but it's not Bobcats. It's a very common Doosan UVIM. It talks to many different types of engines and stuff. So it's not specifically Bobcat. So what we're doing is we're putting together a UVIM with the right cables for Bobcat. That's the problem, is that if you buy a UVIM, you're not necessarily going to have the right cables because those come from Bobcat. So we have to have a special cable made. That's what I'm working on. And then once we get the UVIM, we have all the software you need. We get that from Doosan, and we've got both the V1, V2, we've got the DCU software, we've got everything you're going to need on the engine side. And again, this is because I truly believe we have the right to repair our machines. We're not taking anyone's software. This is all stuff that is available from the manufacturer. I'm just trying to put it together in a kit for you to be able to talk to your engines. Bobcat doesn't want you doing this, and it kind of bugs me, but it's available. I mean, all this stuff's available. Just someone needs to piece it together for you, and that's what we're doing, is we're piecing it together for you.
Yep.
So service analyzers for the engine. Engine analyzers for the engine. Bobcat service analyzers for the machine. So the machine software, Bobcat Analyzer, really has nothing to do with the engine unless we're trying to get specific updates or something from Bobcat. But we're not getting into that side of it. But we could talk. If I know we emailed sometimes back and forth. If you have more questions, we need to go more in depth than that. Just shoot me an email and I can answer it a little more in depth for you.
He said also, Andrew said he has a 76 and the rear camera works a quarter of the time. I told him what I've seen is the harness will rub through by the door, and maybe that could be the problem.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the only thing I've seen.
I would almost say I would just check all that stuff real good. The harness.
Just check the harness, open your door, and follow the wires for the camera going down, and then it connects to your mainframe harness.
Yeah, most of them I see, they either work or they don't. It's weird, they're intermittent. So I'm thinking there's some type of connection issue or something like that. Do you have the earlier 76? Because now we did some screen and some software updates and stuff like that might help. So it might be a software thing as well. So.
Ben is
second best take. He's not real sure about that.
I know.
So come by and talk to us.
Neither am I. So this guy, he works on VM Volkswagens. Yes, he works on the diesel Volkswagens exclusively. So.
Well, heavy equipment is much better than. That's what I say, anyways.
How many timing belts have I done in my experience? This guy's done 1,000 of them.
Sweet.
So he can work on a Deutz. Dang. Major differences for a T66 service versus T76? No, I don't. No. For service, like oil changes and stuff like that. Is that what you mean?
Or just general maintenance? No, they're basically the exact same thing. Same engine, all the same filters.
Just bigger frame on the 76.
Yeah. But yeah, the processes will be all the same.
Yep. So right there, we'll have a look at that. Hardiel says he has a UVIM. Right. Yep. So he says he wants your email. I didn't get through with the one I have for you. So.
Okay. All right. I'll get in that. I know I've got your email. I'll shoot you an email, and that way we'll have it. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. When I share my email on here, it starts to get a little out of control.
Yes. Every time we do that, I'm like, you're psychotic. Yeah. You're just asking for trouble. I have a 2013 Bobcat 770, new engine put in. Now the first time I start in the morning, it'll start up then die. M30. Yeah. M0309.
That's just low voltage code, isn't it?
Is it?
I think M0309.
Let's find out. But then it dies.
That was a 2013, but this is going to be the Kubota engine. So what is it?
Let's see. What was it? M0309?
Yeah. I think that's low voltage. But...
yeah, low voltage fault.
Yeah. And low voltage is kind of normal, but that's not going to cause the issue.
The dying, yeah.
Yeah, so usually on the T77, you're going to have an electric lift pump on that machine, an electric fuel pump, electric primer pump. So make sure that your electric pump's working, or let me know if you already know if your electric pump's working. And what I'm thinking is, sometimes they don't work good. We don't get enough fuel pressure up to the injection pump, and it can kind of pull its own fuel through the injection pump. But if it doesn't have that help from the primer pump,
When you go to like full throttle.
yeah, or even when you start it, it takes all that extra fuel because it is at full throttle when it starts. In
Do
its
they
natural
replace
state.
that with the new engine? Is it attached to the engine, the
What's that?
electric lift pump?
No, it's not attached to it. It's
So
kind
it's
of
probably still old.
probably.
So
Either that, I don't know. Did they pinch a line or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, it's
Drop
hard
it-
to say, but I would
drop
I
it down
would,
on the line.
I would suspect it's something like that.
05 John Deere 250. Sounds great when steering straight, but serious hydraulic feedback when turning in any way. Ooh. We've done this one before. Huh.
Yeah, I mean that's where I would go to.
What did we find? We found that the valve plates were.
Yeah, once your valve plates start to get.
We had what was it, a T300? Was it T300 that did the same thing? Remember that?
Yeah.
The T300 skid steer did the same thing, and we pulled apart the hydraulic pump, and we had issues. There was scoring on the valve plate and slippers, and
yeah. So
yeah.
check your filters and stuff. See if you got any brass or anything in your
If you have a charge
filters.
filter,
Yeah.
or however the filters work on that machine. Bless you.
Excuse me, man. Not feeling 100% today.
Great info. I don't even have a Bobcat. I've got the Kubota 75-3.
Yeah, I saw that. Ray's Lawn and Landscape. I subscribe to his channel. Well, he's pumping out the videos. I wish I had that much dedication. It's hard to pump them out like that. He's doing a good job over there.
Because you're so busy all the time.
Well,
No, they didn't replace it. Yep. So that's probably, I bet if you replaced it, that'd fix your problem, Doug.
hell, I wonder if they plugged it back in.
True.
I'd check something like that.
True.
You hear
Yeah.
when you turn the ignition on, you go down there, kind of, it's right behind where the fuel filler neck is. You should hear it back there.
Best way to drain hydraulic fluid out of T590.
Pump it.
Yeah.
So, again, it's a controversial way, though I do it. Not everyone agrees with it. The correct way is to go around your 590. It's going to be on the right-hand side of the machine. It's the cover for the fan. It's a plastic cover for the fan. You remove that, and then you'll see a small rubber hose connected to or zip tied to a metal line, and that is your case drain for the fan motor. And you basically unhook that rubber line off the fan, and that's where you're supposed to drain the tank, according to Bobcat.
I had no idea. I've always pumped it out. I'm dead serious.
Pumped it out? Oh, really? I'll show you that back here on this other
I've
one.
never seen that before.
Because it's a really small line, it takes forever, but that's how Bobcat says to do it. So what we do is we have a hose that we hook onto our auxiliary coupler on the front, and we just turn on the auxiliaries and we pump it into a 5-gallon
Until
bucket.
it starts to barely cavitate.
Yeah,
It starts to bubble.
we call it
Then you shut it
pseudo, and that's what a lot of people understand. Like, because everyone thinks that cavitation can be catastrophic, absolutely. But when you're pulling a vacuum, a cavitation where you actually have a restriction and your pump is pulling a strong negative vacuum, we can have bubbles. But when we have pseudo vacuum or pseudo cavitation, that's just where we're getting aeration in the pump, and the pump still have plenty of lubrication as you pump that oil out. So that's why people think that, oh, you're going to cavitate your pump, you're going to destroy them. Well, no, as soon as you see it bubble a couple times, turn the machine off. You got plenty of lubrication.
You don't have to keep running it.
Yeah, we've been doing it for 20 years, but yeah, everyone says pump it out, and I'm like, the machine's a giant pump. Just use a machine.
You'll just have to, if you're going to do it a lot, you'll just have to buy one of the quick couplers and just a hose that attaches to the quick coupler, and that's it. Just an open-ended hose.
Yep. I always hook into the bottom fitting. The bottom fitting on the machines are a female.
So buy the male and I'll put it on your hose.
Yep. And the reason I say that, it really doesn't matter. You can use either side, but the female's on the bottom, and she always puts out because that's your constant flow. So that's just where I pump it out from. So.
I'm a heavy equipment mechanic, and the hardest leak on the smallest machine I ever worked on is the E26 with the 3-cylinder Kubota. The alternator bracket sits right over the lift pump. The lift pump always leaks, and it has 2 bolts. It seems to constantly leak oil from the bottom of the lift pump. Bruh, you got to work on an E20, dude. Those are some of the hardest hydraulic leaks I've ever worked on. I did 3 back to back to back when I worked at Bobcat. They came in from the factory all leaking, and those are terrible, dude.
Yeah, the 26 is
The
pretty
20,
tight too,
the
but
26,
20s are the
the
worst,
20 is smaller, dude. Like, it's crazy, bro.
It's terrible.
But yeah, I feel your pain, dude. You know, I dread working on those tiny things.
Yeah.
Any maintenance pointers for operating on crazy hills, tough ground? Wide track T66.
Any maintenance pointers for operating on crazy hills, rough ground?
Don't do sharp turns. Like, I don't know.
Not really. The biggest thing on crazy hills is make sure you've got proper oil level. Do not run those things low on oil. That's how we spin bearings when you're working on hills right there, because we get the
You have low oil and then you can't suck it up. Your
Yeah.
suction tube doesn't have enough oil in there. Oil pan.
but rough ground. I don't know what kind of pointers you mean, like because I'm not an operator, but it depends on what kind of information you're looking for. But from a maintenance standpoint, as long as all your fluid levels are good, run it.
If you're on a steep hill and your engine is facing down the hill, don't pick your bucket all the way up, or you're gonna do a backflip. That's my tip. Especially, ask me how I know. Ask this guy how I know. If you're in a tired machine and you're going up a hill, don't hit any bumps, because you're gonna go backwards and you're gonna poop your britches. Is what you're gonna do. Almost tipped that thing backwards. You remember that?
You're always okay. It just feels worse than it is.
Yeah, something like that. He says he just turns the camera on and goes.
Hope for the best. Yeah.
It's a good way to do it.
Yeah. It seems like I just have to plan everything out. That's a little different. I don't know. And that's probably my biggest weakness, is because I always have to have everything planned out.
If we videoed everything, it would be a lot of the same videos over and over.
Yeah. We'd probably actually bore the crap out of people, but
we kind of wait for the exciting ones.
Yeah, or something we hadn't done before. But sometimes I do repetitive stuff to kind of keep it fresh.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, yeah, we always trying to find something new to bring to the table.
Yeah, let's see. Young buck gaining knowledge, going to be a master equipment mechanic.
Gonna be.
Yes, gonna be. Still a rookie.
I don't know, man. You teach me a lot. We teach each other.
Looking to buy a 96 325 when the bucket is crowding and the engine bogs down. Curling. He's curling in the engine bogs down. 96 325.
You got to be careful with the 325. All the control valve stuff is all discontinued. You can't buy any of that crap anymore. I actually bought the last control valve in the nation for a 325 a couple years ago, and I had a hell of a time finding that. So you're gonna have to find used parts when it comes to something on that. But when you're crowding and the engine bogs down, we have in that control, well, there's 2 different serial numbers on that 325. 2 different control valves, but we should have port release in the control valve. Maybe your port release not opening up, or no. It could just be a weak engine. That's probably, I'm not going to overthink it. It could be a hydraulic issue, but more likely it's just a weak engine. But if nothing else bogs down, maybe it could be a hydraulic issue, but I'm not sure until I kind of saw what it was doing or how it was acting or operating. So
E10 hydraulic leaks. Yeah, I bet that's even worse.
Yeah, I've worked on a few of those, man.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's just like you can't reach anything. If you got to take everything apart to get to something, man. I mean, even the way they run the lines through the boom, man. Sometimes those can be a real pain in the butt when they're broke down.
Yep. 175 blows white smoke after startup. Rebuilt fuel injectors and new glow plugs. Fuel cam has no scarring. Intake is clean as a whistle. Any tips before yanking engine?
175 blows white smoke.
White smoke after startup. Does it go away?
That tells me rebuilt fuel injectors. Yeah, do a compression test. It sounds like one of the cylinders are probably low compression, and it's not igniting or detonating the fuel until it gets up to speed. So after it starts, now it's turning over faster and it's warming up and
Sounds
it burns.
familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, it burns off the that. So since it's not detonating at first when you're starting it, you're just spraying raw diesel in there, and then it just kind of
And it
burns it
goes
off
away
and the white
after heavy
smoke goes. So
usage,
yeah,
yeah.
I would do a compression test on that engine and just confirm that. But I bet you're going to have low compression on one or more cylinders.
Any tips to replace 590 accumulator that's leaking? I've never done one of those. Is it for ride control?
That's the only accumulator that's on the 590 is for ride control. So no, not really. As long as your arms are all the way in the down position, you shut the machine off. And I like to take your manual release valve next
The
to your
red
seat.
one, the red diamond.
Yeah, just make sure there's no pressure on the system.
So pull up and twist.
Yeah, and then you're not going to have any pressure behind the accumulator. So just spin the accumulator out and
Throw a new one in.
Yeah, throw a new one. I mean, it is got an O-ring on it because like an O-ring boss type fitting. So maybe
Yeah.
it's just an O-ring. I don't know where it's leaking from. I'm just assuming it's leaking from where it goes into the valve. But yeah, the biggest thing is just make sure there's absolutely no pressure on the lift arms, and yeah, just back it out and see why it's leaking. I've never had one leaking. It's always another fitting on that ride control block that I fix fittings back there all the time. It seems like, but I haven't actually had a bad accumulator or one leaking. So yeah, if you're pretty sure that's what it is, just no pressure in the system, back it out and fix what you need to fix.
2018 770, get a code off and on. D752, drive right side, wash plate out of range low. Wash plate sensor out of range low.
Off and on, yeah. Out of range low.
Short. D7542.
Yeah, we could those 2018
Wash plate sensor out of range low. Yeah.
So there's a pump harness that I think your pump harness is going to be in like a square molded type plastic. And what happens is they run that pump harness back over the center frame of the machine, and there's a lip back there, and it goes over that lip, and then it spins up and it goes up to the top of your pumps.
It goes like that. Yeah.
So where it goes over that lip,
see if it rub through.
Yeah, where that, I know it's just fingers, but where that harness goes over that lip, right at the back of the center frame case. It's not a chain case, but that's where the chain case would be on a
wheeled machine.
A wheeled machine. But it's you'll see a lip right in front of where the fuel tank is, and it always rubs through right there. Sometimes you'll get multiple codes, but I would check that pump harness real good. It might not be exactly where I'm describing, but you might have a rub spot somewhere on that pump harness is what I would be looking for. But being that it's intermittent, so that's what I'd be looking for.
Yeah, he says sometimes it takes a machine out of 2-speed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll even shut you down too.
What's a good place to get rebuilt kit for cylinders?
There's lots of places to get rebuild kits. I mean, a lot of people they swear by Amazon. I've got a few off Amazon myself, just trying to save money. And I've been burned a couple times. They either didn't fit, or you get a whole seal kit, you tear the cylinder down, you start putting them in, and only 3 fit, and then one of them don't. Then you still got to go buy a new seal kit to get the job done.
They're not that expensive from Bobcat.
Yeah, they're
compared to like Cat.
Yeah, they're quite a bit more expensive than like going to Amazon,
right?
You know. Right. But if you want to do the job the first time and get it right, and make sure you got the right parts. Get the OEM kit. I never buy aftermarket kits anymore because of that reason, because I always get stuck in the middle of the job and I don't have the right stuff, or I'm missing something, or it doesn't fit right. It's just, that's just my experience with aftermarket parts. But someone else can jump in here and say that they never have an issue getting them off Amazon or something. But that's just my experience. I always get them straight from Bobcat.
Gone Yearling says, thanks for your help. That free nationwide pre-purchase inspection service is great. However, you did miss a few things. The travel sticks are a 1/4 inch out of sync for one, and it keeps running out of fuel every 10 hours or so. And every time I run it, I get this weird craving for Waffle House. Interesting.
This guy must have been bit by a bat or something. I don't know what he's talking about. He must have some kind of, yeah,
Bit by a bat.
yeah. That makes no sense to you, but it
Nope.
it makes sense to him.
Some inside joke.
Yeah, yeah,
Do the accumulators come pre-charged?
they do. And they come special shipment too, because it is a
Because
pressurized.
it's a bomb.
It's a pressurized vessel. So if you order it from Bobcat, it's got to come special shipping, pressurized vessel type thing. So yeah, accumulators are fun to order, and it takes a lot longer too because of that.
My name is Farnham P from Toronto. Nice to meet you. No, I just want to say I'm a huge fan. Appreciate what you guys do. God bless you. Thank you so much, man. You're awesome.
Appreciate that. I've never
Toronto.
I've never heard anyone call themselves a fan. We got fans.
You got fans.
You got fans. I don't know what we do. I appreciate the support though, man. It's a lot of fun.
It's all about your time. Bobcat OEM for sure will fit. Yes, sir.
Yep, that
For
just
sure.
confirms what we were saying. Yeah, it is. It is. The money you save by getting the wrong kit, just like you said, just the labor it costs. That costs 3 times more than having to do the job twice.
Yep.
So, yep, just do it once.
This guy says, I'm Batman.
He is the Batman. He is the Batman. Very interesting stuff. So, yes, but back to Batman. I did know that those sticks were a 1/4 inch out of sync. They were a little more than a 1/4 inch, I think, and I thought that it was just a bent arm, because they were going the same. It looked like they were going the same distance on the bottom, but I thought just one arm was bent. So I did notice that. And why does it run out of fuel every 10 hours? Yeah, we had to get to Waffle House. We didn't have 10 hours to run it to see if we ran out of fuel. So, dang Waffle House. But awesome, man. Well, good to see you.
After a cold start, trying to go straight reverse, the machine will pull to the right every once in a while. It goes away quickly. Well, it might be going. So after a cold start, only after a cold start, trying to go reverse, the machine will pull to the right every once in a while. So during a cold start, every once in a while.
What kind of machine is it?
Yes.
Excavator, track machine, wheeled machine,
It's very interesting.
SJC, manual drive.
T66.
Yes, T66. Imagine that. Yeah.
So every time you started the machine, you're going straight backwards. Wait, like that.
When I start trying to go straight reverse, the machine will pull usually to the right every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
I don't know on that one. That's a great question, especially since it goes away relatively quickly. That's odd. I don't know. I'd almost have to see that, feel it.
I know the R series, they have problems with like being out of like, you have to move the, adjust the sides, because some of them have more flow on one side than the other.
Yeah,
especially on the SJC ones.
We do an electronic compensation on that where we can straighten them out. But once we straighten them out, it stays straight.
It
so
stays
the fact
like
that
that.
yours is doing it.
And it only does it for a little bit.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I'd almost have to see it, feel it, see how hard it's pulling, see if it's like a brake issue or something like that. I don't know. It's weird.
He says, I worked on an S770 and found that the parking brake shaft and spring are missing. Looks like you're going fishing. That is correct, sir. They did fall on the chain case. So what you're going to do is you're going to take off that whole plate. Well, I guess it's probably already off. You're going to get your long magnet stick and you're going to stick your arm in there and find all those pieces.
Yeah, that's
You're going fishing.
like we just did one. Mike just did one where he had to fish all those parts out. But sometimes people literally just take those parts out because they can't figure out why the brake's not releasing. It's usually another issue,
True.
an electric issue or something like that. So if it's a machine you're not
if you
familiar
can't find
with,
anything,
yeah,
then it's
but-
probably just gone.
yeah, if you run a good strong magnet down around in there, you should be able to grab
Yeah,
something.
you can feel with your hands in the area, and then they're usually, the stuff is like usually in the corners, I feel like, from my experience.
Yeah.
So stick your magnet all the way into the back corner. But it's easy. It's best to first check as far as your arm can go in the fluid, and then check the other side as far as your arm can go, and then use your magnet. It sucks.
Yep. So yep, they break, and sometimes we'll just pull them out. There may not be anything in there.
If my machine pulls to the right or to the left and the linkages have never been messed with, is it likely the drive motor or hydrostatic pump?
If the machine pulls to the right or to the left, well, which is it? Is it pulling to the left or right, or is this just a general question? I'm not sure. The linkage has never been messed with.
But
Is it
even if
drive
they've
or
never
hydrostatic?
been messed with, they still could wear out.
Yeah, we do get wear. I mean, if it sounds like it's a manual drive machine, so those linkages
753
do
and
wear out. So
175 and 185. So yeah, I mean, it could, even if they've never been messed with or torn apart or anything, they still could be wore out, and that will definitely cause creep
yeah.
or not steering straight.
And is it doing it in both directions? So I think there's a lot to that. That's
It's
going to be hard.
most of the time usually just worn out stuff.
Yeah.
Worn out linkages when
It's hard to say. I'd almost have to see it, feel it.
Yeah.
You know, are they making any noises? That we could go into a lot of depth. Being 3 different machines, that's weird.
do you guys know what the first thing that to wear out needs replacement on a new machine? First thing that wears out?
The operator. First thing that wears
on an
out.
R series, what's the first thing that you need to usually replace? The meaty fuse block in the front.
Fuse block in the front.
What else is there? The
I
air
don't know.
filters, because they get clogged up.
Yeah, the air filters go pretty quick, and the cabin air filters. These are like HEPA style filters now on the inside of the cab. And that's like my biggest, not complaint, but they work really good. So it doesn't take a lot of dust in the cab. So there's a filter behind the seat, and those get clogged up really quick because there's such fine particle filtration on those, and they clog up, and that reduces the airflow out of the HVAC system big time. So it's usually filters for me. I mean,
The first repair you're going to do is you're going to unplug all of the controllers and blow the water out of all of them.
yeah, hopefully we got that fixed now on the newer serial numbers, but
Yeah.
the first R series that came out,
Doing that every day.
yeah, we had a lot of issues with that. My next video is going to be another R series issues that I just did today, so we'll take a look at that.
We love our R
Yeah.
series.
Electrical issues.
We love our R series. Is there any way you can make the controls more responsive on a new R series, even if it's on setting 3? The setting 3, the highest setting?
Yeah, I think so.
He says
Just
the
the
electric
drive
over hydraulic
response.
aren't as responsive as he'd like.
I don't. There is some weird programming compensation type stuff, but no, not really, man. If you're already on drive mode 3, then that's about best you can get. Excuse me.
Just Lazo.
Okay, yeah, just throw it out back somewhere.
This guy says Hercules seals from Florida has all seals by size, fittings, O-rings, hoses. S175, IR, 2006. New ones, not good. Too many technical issues. Got a Cat 289 and New Holland now. The new ones are not good. Too many issues.
Yeah, like I said, they've worked through a lot of those issues. The new ones are getting better. But it's like any new series. Everybody has issues. Cat, New Holland, everybody has issues on new models. So
They're sensitive, guys. Our series are pretty sensitive. Thank you. Have you guys seen problems with new loaders where the auxiliary couplers are brand new, but they leak?
Yep. Yes, it's happening a lot lately for some reason. I wonder if it's a manufacturer defect or something. But yeah, a friend of mine, he keeps replacing them, and 2 different machines, and I don't know what's going on. Yeah, they're like brand new, and he keeps having them. He keep calling me. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. You know, I mean, if they leak,
Call the guy who made them.
yeah, call them, man. Take them back to Bobcat.
Yep.
So I don't know if it's a manufacturing issue, but yeah, I have lately we are seeing that is an issue. I haven't really put 2 and 2 together, but now that you and ask, I thought it was just him. But
Well, I just put some on last week. I hope they don't leak.
we'll see. Let's see.
Futube with $20. Thank you. He says, thank you for your time. Grab a beer. Thank you so much, man.
Awesome. Yeah.
It really
Thanks,
helps.
buddy.
Thank you, dude.
That does help a lot for sure. Like I said, we stop everything we're doing. We stop making money to take this time to answer questions here and help you guys out, because we get so many comments on email and YouTube and everything. It's really hard for me to answer all those because they come in so quick and so often. So this is the time that we set aside for you guys. So we appreciate that.
He says he bought a Cat ET scanner for his own equipment. No dealership needed. Nice.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Cat ET is really easy to get, and even Cat supports owners buying that, especially some of the bigger construction stuff. But you don't get that same love from Bobcat, especially the dealers. Nobody wants to release that information.
They don't make money if you work on your own stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. That bothers me, you know. And the thing about it for me is that this stuff is so electronically controlled. We rely on so many controllers. We got like 7 controllers on the new machines, and you've got to have this software because these machines are going to be around for a long time, right? We're still working on, well, this machine right here is from 1996. You know,
it's older than me.
Yeah, we got older machines here, and these electronic engines and machines are still going to be around for another 20 years. You're going to have people, you know, farms and stuff like that are going to have to keep these machines going. I hate this damn throwaway mentality we have. And if you can't work on your own equipment, you know, then you're going to get the damn Gen AAA or whatever. There's going to be like your grandkids. They're going to call these, but our series like boomer machines. You know what I mean? And they're not going to work
every day back in my day.
But think about how fast technology and everything's going to advance, you know, and we want to keep these machines around for a long time. So we have to have that ability, the right to repair, and the information out there. And that's part of the reason why we do all this. And that's why we're putting together this software stuff. We want to make sure we do it right and we get you the correct stuff to repair your own.
Yeah, Komatsu has self-re-diagnosis. That's what I like about Komatsu is they have their own in the display itself. It has its own system. Those are nice.
They actually give you like troubleshooting trees and stuff.
No,
well, that's the thing. Yeah, because like our machines,
they just show you the codes and everything. And I don't know, maybe they do.
Well, that's what our codes. I mean, our machines tell you what the code and everything is.
Yeah.
And then you have to diagnose the code and go from there. And even if it gives you an engine code, although you have the code, it doesn't mean you still know why that code's being triggered. A lot of times we still have to have software to figure that stuff out. And
he says Kubota won't sell either. The Diag.
Right. Yeah. So there's
a Deere either.
Yeah, Diag Master. Deere is Service Advisor. Those they're all hard to come by, but all this stuff is available. Aftermarket and stuff.
If you know where to look.
Like I said, you just need someone to put it all together for you to make sure you get the right thing. And Bobcat's kind of its own special little deal there. So awesome. Well, that was a good time.
Wait.
You got another one? Sorry.
Thank you for what you guys do. I learned so much from your videos. I've been working for Bobcat for over a year and learned so much from this channel. That's good, man.
Well, thanks, buddy. I really appreciate it.
We're glad to help fellow techs.
Yeah. And I appreciate you joining in. A lot of times, like I said, I'm going to try to invite some of the other techs in here that can answer a lot of these questions. I don't know everything. I just do the best I can with the information I have, but it'd be nice to have some more techs in here to help with just different opinions, different way of looking things. So yeah, I appreciate you being here, man. If there's anything that I missed or something, let us know.
Look, the 750 smokes went under a load. Put a new muffler on, recommended by Bobcat.
Did not change anything.
I wonder why. It's not a
new muffler.
Which branch recommended you to put a new muffler on? I'd like to know myself, huh? Which one was this? Did you put new turbo or injectors on, or because that's usually one of those
what
most
engine,
common?
What engine is that? Is that a Doosan engine or a Kubota engine?
Oh yeah,
it should be. I don't know what year that's. I'm not even sure if they made the 750 with the Kubota, but anyways, there's a lot of things with smoke. We got injector issues. We just had one that was smoking really bad.
Really bad.
It was one main injector.
2012, so it's actually a Kubota.
Oh, it would be a Kubota. So it depends on the smoke. Do they do a compression check, stuff like that? you know, there's a lot of things that go in those Kubotas. So
But the muffler change still is.
yeah, the
It's
muffler
funny.
still doesn't make sense to me. Muffler has
Yeah.
nothing to do with it smoking.
It's funny that Bobcat dealer told you to replace that. Very interesting.
Do they make replacement seals for the couplers? Maybe somebody does, but the couplers are not rebuildable. They're not designed to be repaired. They're designed to be replaced. So I'm not saying you can't find the seals, but there is no seal kit for those couplers, and they don't come apart very easily. So it's best just to replace them.
Well, he said.
Oh, what he said. Okay.
Yep, you.
So awesome. All right. Well, perfect. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate everybody joining. We will see y'all again next Tuesday. Oh, man, another question just came in.
Can you convert a regular bucket from other brands to Kubota to Bobcat? Exchange.
You can buy weld-on kits on the internet. I think somebody makes those. Depends on what exchange style you have, but a lot of people do make something that you can weld onto your bucket. And so, yeah, it depends on the exchange style, and you should be able to find that on the internet. They do exist, absolutely. Awesome. Well, thanks again, guys. We will see you next Tuesday. I want to stop this. Can't stop it. Gotta press. So, gotta end it. Gotta go. Bye.